Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm going to continue some videos I started previously, way back when, a couple months ago. I have some videos showing off HaloPSA and the OpenAI integration. I did some videos showing how to build a chatbot. I think, a video, I don't remember now, it's been so long ago, how to use the AI response within Halo. I think, anyways. If the video's not there, I'll go make one. One of the videos that's been driving me nuts is we talked about how Halo's AI integration allows for anything that you want using custom integration. And so this video is going to be about custom integration, some runbooks, the custom integration module built into Halo, and using OpenAI with Halo's processes for some like AI analysis and things like that, how to update tickets and whatnot. So in Halo, one of the things I like telling my clients when we're on consulting calls is like the Halo demo out of the box, it's not really designed for functionality use. It's designed to showcase the power behind what you can do, like things that are possible. And it's kind of evident when we're looking at how the demo is set up in certain ways. In some cases, they seem functional. Other cases, it's not really functional. It just shows, what you can do. And so in the case of AI, we can actually see that very clearly. And so I'm going to showcase on this video some of the things that they show off in the demo, but also how to make it work, specifically with the Azure OpenAI instance. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This screen, I think. Let's see. Yep, that screen. All right, so we're in my one of my demo environments for MSP advisors. We can see here that if we scroll down to find OpenAI somewhere here, I should really just search for it, which I think I will right now. Just searching for them, we can see that Azure OpenAI is enabled. Let's turn that off right now. So this is what it would normally look like out of the box. Sometimes you may have OpenAI ChatGPT turned on, or you may have Azure OpenAI turned on. In this case, we're going to go with Azure OpenAI. If we go into each one of these, I've showed you on previous videos how to configure this. There's a new thing they added in now called Embeddings, which is an analysis of a ticket. And it comes back with the vectors and it basically calculates, I guess the best way is a mathematical analysis or algorithm of the ticket details and category and things like that, and then it puts it all into the ticket. So we'll talk about embeddings for a bit and how we can use them with Azure OpenAI, or at least how to get it working. With OpenAI, ChatGPT, if you just turn on ChatGPT OpenAI and enable create embeddings, scores for tickets, it does kind of work out of the box. When we're talking about Azure OpenAI, it's a little bit different, and we'll go into that as well as the reasons why it's different. So we're also going to talk about tonality. If you've ever seen a modern demo of HaloPSA, and we were to go look at like custom fields, we may have to go back up a little bit, and we look at custom fields. I don't know if it's in this instance or not, but you would see like a custom field of tonality. Yeah, we don't have it here. We would have something like a AI generated priority. There would be like an AI analysis field on the ticket type. There would be a group of AI analysis on the ticket type that would include tonality, priority, summary, things like that. So out of the box on this instance, it's before they built that out. I'm going to show you how you can build that out yourself using, again, Azure OpenAI. And a lot of it translates over to ChatGPT OpenAI if you want to use that instead. But for the most part, there's no reason not to use Azure OpenAI as long as you're inside Azure. You've got the subscription signed up for. It's basically the same exact costs as OpenAI directly. So we'll go through how to set that up. So let's get started. Let's go search for my OpenAI, Azure OpenAI settings here. There's a couple things that we're going to need. We're going to need an endpoint. We're going to need an API key, the version of the API that we want to use, as well as our default OpenAI deployment. The reason why we need a default deployment is because there are cases or situations where, depending on what you're using AI for, you can choose which model to use. You can use different models. And so the default model is the one that we want to use or specify here so that we don't have to specify it everywhere else. But if you do want to, let's say, do a different model for one specific action, you can always override that at this point. But we do want to have a default here at the very least so that you don't have to keep doing that. And then again, we talked about the different things. We showed off the actions in a previous video, the live chat, and today we're going to do the custom integrations, and we'll focus on that. So in order to set up Azure OpenAI, you need to make sure that you're signed up for the subscription for Azure AI services. If you go into your portal at azure.com, you go to your Azure AI services, and you go ahead and create a new subscription. Well, you create a new region, and it'll ask you for which subscription you want to go to. Your subscription does need to be enabled for Azure, so for OpenAI. So if it's not, you'll have to reach out to Microsoft, and there's a form that you can fill in order to get that. I'm going to go ahead and choose East US 2, and this name I'm going to do MSP Advisors because it is going to be a demo for this, and we'll just go ahead and do standard as 0, which is the only pricing tier that exists. I'm doing East US 2 because it is one of the few regions that has GPT-4 support. We're going to go ahead and not put any restrictions, and we're just going to keep going next until we create this subscription at this point. Now, what'll end up happening is that my URL that I'm going to use to access this deployment is going to be called MSP Advisors dot. Let's see, we should have this pretty clear up pretty quickly. There it is, done. We'll go to the resource, and if we go to keys and endpoint, we'll see that it is mspadvisors.openai.azure.com. So we're going to go ahead and click that, copy, and we'll paste it in here. All right. Now our API key, we're just going to go grab our first one, and we're just going to paste that in here as well. And then we're just going to grab our version, which is going to be 2023-05-15. And the one that's here as an example is good enough. You can always look online and find out from Azure what their latest OpenAI version is. They've got some preview versions. They've got one from June, I think, and potentially even after that. Once we have this in place, we now need to point to a deployment. If you go to model deployments here in Azure, we can see that we have to go into the Azure Studio, OpenAI Studio. And we don't have a deployment out of the box. No deployments found. We actually have to make one. I'm going to go ahead and make 2 deployments. First, we're going to choose the model GPT-4, and we're just going to call it MSP Advisors GPT-4. And then we're going to take that. That's going to be our default one that we're going to use 90% of the time. And I'm just going to paste that in here. I'm going to create one more, which we're going to use. And we're going to use the text embeddings, 88 ADA-002 as our model. And we're just going to call this embeddings, or MSP Advisors -embeddings. Now, we have 2 different models that are being used. One is our general AI, our generative language AI model, large language model. The other one is the text embeddings model. We have to use this model for our embeddings integration, which is where some things need to change with how Halo has it set up. Let's go ahead and go take a look at our custom integrations down here. So if we come in here, custom integrations, we'll now see that we've got a Azure OpenAI custom integration here. And if we come in here and look at our methods, we can see that our create embeddings exists as an endpoint. But if we look here, notice we've got some problems. Number one, Azure OpenAI embeddings here is not pointing to the right deployment. And these are variables that point to the main configuration of OpenAI within Halo. Let me just go ahead and duplicate this tab, and we can go take a look at some references here. The other thing that exists, if we go back and take a look at OpenAI and turn on ChatGPT for a moment, and then we go look at those custom integrations, we should see a custom integration for ChatGPT now is in here, and methods has ask a question. Notice that this is pointing to a completions endpoint. We've got a body here, right? I'm going to go ahead and copy this body because we don't have this ask a question on our Azure OpenAI methods. It doesn't exist. Oh, it does exist. Never mind. Let's go take a look at it. And let's go ahead and see if this works. We're just going to go and provide it. Notice it sends a action note HTML. So we need to send it a ticket number and an action number. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate that tab. And then we're going to go take a look at a ticket. And so we have a ticket number of 2250. We've got an action number of blah, blah test. Let's go look at that action number. It's 5. And so let's go see if we can use this. We're going to hit test 2250 and action number 5. And we're going to save that. And we should come back with a response. It says, hello, how can I assist you today? That's the answer. The response is 200. It's sending across the blah, blah test. And it's going to come back as, how can I help you today? Now we can see that because if we go to the log here, we can see the log that occurred, and we can see that the message that went across is blah, blah test. And we wanted to get an improved note on that. And it came back with, hello, how can I assist you today? It doesn't really know what to do with blah, blah test, right? So it just rewrote it with something that's more generic. If we give it action note 1, let's see, I think this is 1, yep. Let's go ahead and rerun that again, and we'll give it action note 1. So we'll do 2250 and action note 1 and save that. We should see it come back with a different note because it's rewriting the note saying something about charge rates. As an AI developed by OpenAI, I don't have the functionality to perform tests on charge rates. However, I can provide guidance on to answer any questions or answer any queries you may have about charge rates if you provide more specific information, right? So it's basically receiving the note, and then it's going to come back with an answer about that note. Let's go take a look at some of the things here. So if we go look at the create embedding, the embeddings body, what we have here, notice we're just giving it a model of text similarity 88002 and an input of ticket details, okay? If I were to go ahead and test this, we just saw how it worked fine for that one. If I go ahead and give it a ticket ID 2250 and do a test, what likely we're going to come back with is a 404 resource not found. Why is that the case? Let's go take a look at the custom integrations in the other tab. We're going to go back into open ChatGPT's integrations and look at create embeddings here. And notice our body is basically the exact same thing. It's just a little bit different, text similarity instead of text embedding. Okay, there's something a little bit off about that. The other thing is if we compare the two Azure OpenAI's ask a question. So if I go back to here, go back to Azure OpenAI and look at the ask a question, and I compare this to this, notice that I'm missing a query parameter here. And so there's something very wrong about this. Now, finally, if we go compare the two ask a questions from here to the ask a question of ChatGPT, wow, I'm really doing good over here. This one is Azure OpenAI. Let's close this out. Let's go back to ChatGPT, ask a question, and let's compare this to Azure OpenAI ask a question and look at the body differences. Okay, so if we're looking at the body over here and here, notice that in the ChatGPT we do have a model specified, but in Azure OpenAI we don't have a model specified because the model is actually up here based off the deployment we included on the URL. So we can already start to see some differences with how Azure OpenAI's API keys work or API endpoints work versus how ChatGPT's endpoints work. And clearly, if we compare this to how Halo set up their Azure embeddings, it's basically very wrong. Like everything's wrong. It's using more of ChatGPT's endpoint structure than it is using Azure structure. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and change this. We're going to edit this create embedding. We're going to come here. We're going to first create a query parameter. That query parameter is going to match the same one we have here. It's going to be API version, and we're going to include the API version that we specified on the actual integration itself. This is a variable. It's referencing the configuration, the integration configurations from the integration specified here. And we can see that over here. We've got the endpoint, we've got the deployment name, and then we have the version. These are all configurations from the main AI. So we're going to change that first. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to body. We're going to take the model completely out. This is not needed at this point. And then finally, what we want to do is we want to change this deployment. Instead of using the default deployment, we're going to specify a deployment name. And that's going to be the name of the text embeddings 80002 that we created, which is MSP Advisors Embeddings. So we're going to come back here and we're just going to replace this in there. And then now let's see what happens when we go ahead and run our test. And we're going to take our ticket number 2250 and save that. And then boom, we have our embeddings that came back successfully. So that is step number one, just showcasing how we can use OpenAI within Halo. And in fact, we're actually fixing the out-of-the-box embedding setup for Azure OpenAI within Halo. So that's one thing that we need to do to make sure the embeddings start working. Once you have that created and in place, we can go back to the integration setup for Azure OpenAI and turn on embeddings without a problem at that point. So we come out over here, and then we can go ahead and say create embeddings, and then we can create embeddings for current tickets. Let's say, I don't know, 2020 Halo. Let's say 2020 Halo. And then we can say create embeddings. And then we can create embeddings for current tickets. Let's say, I don't know, 2020 Halo. Let's say 2020 Halo. And then we can create embeddings for current tickets. Let's say, I don't know, 2020 Halo. Let's say 2020 Halo. And then we can create embeddings for current tickets. Let's say, I don't know, 2020 Halo. Let's say 2020 Halo. And then we can create embeddings for current tickets. Let's say, I don't know, 2020 Halo. Let's say 2020 Halo. And then we can create embeddings for current tickets. Let's say, I don't know, 2020 Halo. Let's say 2020 Halo. And then we can create embeddings for current tickets. Let's say, I don't know, 2020 Halo. Let's say 2020 Halo. And then we can create embeddings for current tickets. Let's say, I don't know, 2020 Halo. Let's say 2020 I mean, most of these tickets are very old. I'm not even sure what type of ticket they are, but you get the point at this point. Let's see, incident. Let's do incident tickets, and let's go back start date of 2020. I don't know. Oop, that did not actually click on a date. Start 2020, and let's see how many tickets we can submit. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna work. But that should basically give us our embeddings to start working. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at how that actually works. We just touched on the integration, but that doesn't, like, what's actually firing that off. If we go take a look at, now that we turned on the create embedding scores, if we go take a look at our custom integrations again, and this time we're going to go take a look at our runbooks. Notice that we have an Azure OpenAI suggestions. We do not have an Azure OpenAI embeddings endpoint. So I don't even know where that's coming from, or how that's going to work, because in future versions, we get a runbook for Azure OpenAI embeddings. And I don't see it here. Let's see. Oh, this is it. OpenAI suggestions. Let's go ahead and install this and jump back to our local. Okay, so I guess the suggestions is the one that's doing the embeddings. Perfect. So here we're going to execute the integration method, and we're going to execute the create embeddings. Let's go ahead and save that. And then here we're going to do a Halo API action, and we're including the Azure vector from here. So if we go take a look at that method, let's just jump back here and edit the method that we're doing. Notice our output variable is an Azure OpenAI vector. And so the response data embeddings, and if we test this, we should still get it to work. So we can go ahead and put in 2250, and we can test that. And we should come back with the Azure OpenAI vector equals, and then it is the series of numbers. So that is this variable. And then what we're going to do in this runbook is we're going to take that variable upon it, and we're going to update Halo and retrieve search results. We're going to go here, and we're going to say update the ticket. It's a Halo API action, and we're including that Azure vector variable, which, now that I look at it, I don't even know if it's even the right variable. That looks wrong. It's supposed to be this one. And then once that's successful, we go ahead and move to step 6, which ends it. And if it fails, it comes here and just ends it as well. So this should give us our embeddings, and it will then post those embeddings back to the ticket. I don't see any logs to show. Now, if we want to turn it on, we can come in here and we can say, let's fire that off of a new ticket being created, and where that ticket type is something like incident or whatever at that point. Okay, and so that basically gives us our runbook that'll run through upon a new incident and fire off the analysis of Azure OpenAI. Let's talk about the other one. If we flip over to look at our, let's see. I don't know if I have another instance that I can show you. Let me just go to my live instance. Hold on one second. So if we're looking at our live instance and I go to my custom runbooks, let's start there. Custom integrations, and we'll go to our runbooks. We should see that I have a runbook for tonality analysis here. And if we look at the flowchart, we can basically see that when a ticket comes in, we're going to execute the evaluate ticket details, which we don't have right now. If we look at our existing system here and we go to our custom integrations and we go to our Azure OpenAI and methods, we don't have an evaluate ticket method here. So what we want to do is kind of copy this method, the Azure evaluate ticket details method. We want to copy that method and include it on this instance. So we're going to come in here and we're going to recreate this setup. We're going to copy that and paste it here. And this will be, we'll grab the name too, evaluate ticket details. And this will come back and I'll show you what the body looks like in a moment. This is where things get interesting and how we can actually use it to influence the ticket inside of Halo in more than just updating a summary or something like that. Our authorization is going to inherit. We don't care about that. Our headers are not really going to change. It's always going to be what's there. Our body needs to be a set. So that means we're doing a post and we're going to be doing a JSON payload. And if we look here and flip over to our body tab, notice our headers are blank. We're not doing anything here, but we are sending a JSON payload. And notice now we've got two messages, right? So this is an array of messages here to here. We've got two messages inside of it. Message one is an instruction set. Take the text from the below message and strip the HTML out, number one. Then do the following. Summarize the message in less than 10 words, including as much detail as possible, okay? Two, prioritize the ticket. Give the message a priority number between 1 and 4. 1 being critical and 4 being low priority. This is the same exact priority setting in Halo, P1, P2, P3, P4, based off the SLA. How critical the message should be is based on how many users are impacted or if the message is business critical, right? So it's telling it what matrix to use. Decide whether this message should be classified as an incident or request, based on whether the message refers to something being broken or someone asking for something new. This is now telling it to align it according to ITIL standards. And then finally, return a tonality of the message, either happy, unhappy, excited, or curious, based on the tone of the message that's being sent. Now, the final piece and the magic piece is the instructions to it, telling it to return the response in JSON format using the keys of summarize as a string, priority as an integer, type as a string, and tonality as a string. This is actually a typo here. And again, this is right out of the box from Halo's demo environment, so to speak. So we're going to take this and we're going to copy everything into here. We're going to go ahead and fix that typo just because it shouldn't throw the AI anything. It shouldn't throw it off at all, but we're going to fix it anyways. And then finally, we've got the ability to set the ticket message itself. We're sending the ticket details, which is the original content of the ticket, not including any notes, just the original main body of the ticket, not even the summary. And so we're going to send the ticket details alongside it as a second message. So these are the instructions we're sending it. It's going to the chat completions URL, and the output variables is where we're going to take that and break it up into the various things that come back based off of the response. So remember, it's coming back as a JSON object. So we're going to say we want it to summarize. And so we're going to say the first one is summarize. And I'm going to use the same spelling that they use the UK version. And then we're just going to grab that description as well, just so we make it look like it's the same. And then we're going to add the next one, which is going to be priority. All right. And so we're going to come back here and go to priority. And we're going to copy this. Now, the way this works is it's actually expecting a JSON object to be responded. And so the response, which is part of the JSON object, choices 0 is an array. The AI will always return a response within choices. You can generally ask for more than one response to come through, and then you can pick the one that you want. And so we're always going to go for the first response from the choices array. After that, we're looking at the message content, and then the content will be that JSON object we asked it for. And then we're going to pull the priority out of that at that point. And so that'll come back as priority, which I did not grab the note for, so I can just go ahead and populate that real quick. And then we can go back here, grab our ticket type. Oops, let's grab this one first, and then our tonality at the end. So this will be ticket type, which we probably should not put a, oh no, they have a space. Okay, let's do it. Ticket type, and then we'll throw that in there, and then we'll grab our notes. And then we will finally finish this with tonality at that point. And this will be an object, and we can just change, put that in here. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to flip tabs and recopy it instead of trying to go back to my clipboard history because my clipboard history is not working. All right, perfect. All right, and so now we've got our 4 responses. Now let's see what happens when we actually go ahead and fire this off, right? We have our API version in here. We've got our model, we've got our message, and our output variables. So let's go ahead and test this and do 2250, which is our test ticket number that we're doing. And now what we should see is a response of 4 variables, right? We've got our summarize, test, and charge rates. Priority is 4. It's not that important. Ticket type is a request, and tonality is curious, right? And so that is basically how we build our method to properly get the AI's decision back into an object that we can then manipulate and do stuff with. This is only half of the magic. So we're going to come back here, and we're going to keep moving forward. So we basically just copied this integration method. Let's keep going forward and see what happens. We're going to run that action, run that integration method, and then we're going to go back and update the ticket details. And notice we're doing the update ticket details based off of custom field IDs, and then the value of each variable that comes back from that previous method. So we're going to come back and let's make our workbook at this point, our runbook at this point. So we're going to go to custom integrations. We're going to go to integration runbooks, and we're going to go and do our Azure OpenAI. And again, I don't know, inbound tonality analysis, what looks like what they called it. Let's go ahead and do that same thing. And I'll name it specifically Azure OpenAI. All right, we don't really care about any of this stuff. We can say we want the analysis to run upon a new ticket being created again, and we want this to happen for any kind of incident, ticket type. Whoops. Primarily, you're going to want this to happen on email tickets. And so if you've got a triage ticket type that your emails are hitting for first, that's one of the things you'll do. And then you can create a new event for each type of ticket that you want. That did not work. Come back here, edit that. And then we can say we want this also for incident. And then we also want it for potentially a service request, and so on and so forth. You can add in as many rules as you want to fire off those conditions based off of that event occurring. Let's go ahead and build our flowchart. Step one will be to post message to Azure OpenAI. And so we're going to go ahead and do that. This is going to be an action where that action is execute integration method of evaluate ticket details, just like that. And then we're going to go move to a new step if something happens. All right, so now we've got step 2 and 3 at this point. Sorry, give me 1 second. All right. So we've got step 2 and 3 at this point. Step 2 is going to be the update Halo at this point. So we're going to take what we have and we're going to update the ticket tonality details. So this will be an action where the action is a Halo API action. In this case, we're going to update the ticket. And I'm just going to copy and paste this payload right here. But the way this works is the payload is going to include the ticket ID specifically, followed by the specific custom fields that we want to update. Now, if you're in a system where you've already added your own custom fields and you don't have the tonality values in place, you're going to need to change these. These values are not the default ones. They're normally like 180, 181, 182, 183, something like that. You'll have to create the custom fields. And so therefore, you'll need to update these IDs to match the IDs of the custom fields themselves, if that makes sense. And I'll show you what that means in a moment. Let's go ahead and take this. If they're unsuccessful, we're just going to go back to step 3 at that point. And so now we basically have this step where if it fails, we're just going to end it. And we're just going to say it was a success. We don't want it to retry. And we're just going to say API failed as a step name. And then if it's successful, we want this to end as well. And that's going to be a success where API success, or we can say ticket updated. Back in type. All right. And so now we've got our basic runbook. It kind of looks similar to what we have over here, where if anything fails, it goes here as our final failure. And then if it succeeds, it's going to come here and it has successfully updated the ticket at that point. So let's go ahead and save this integration runbook. And let's go take a look at the custom fields that we need to go create here. So we're going to come back into this tab and we're going to go to our custom fields. And we need to start looking for the custom fields that we need. There are 4 custom fields that we're going to need to set. If we go to our integrations here, go to configuration custom fields, we can start to see how they are basically created and then just copy that. So we've got CFAI, priority, summary, ticket type, and tonality. We're going to go ahead and copy the same fields that we want here. So we'll come in here and just do AI priority. Let's grab AI suggested priority. I'm just going to copy and paste again. It is going to be text. All these fields are text, but the tab will usually be AI tab that they have out of the box. AI evaluation is the name of the tab. So we're just going to come in here and add an AI evaluation. Custom tab for this, we'll say it's going to be sequence 10. And we'll do for 2 columns per field, per row, I mean. And then we will save this because I think we're done here. Priority, there we go. And notice that our ticket ID is now, our custom field ID is 189. So we're going to come in here and we're going to go edit this where we have priority and change priority to be 189 like that. We're going to come back here. Let's make our new custom field, and this time it'll be the AI summary at this point. So we're going to grab this part. We'll specify the name as AI summary. We'll paste that in here. We'll put it onto the same AI evaluation and save that, which will now be 190, which we can come in here and take our summary and set that to custom field ID 190. Let's go ahead and do 2 more real quick. So after summary, we've got ticket type. And these are not the exact names that are used in the Halo demo, out of the box demo. I did change some of them because I think that they apparently have a typo in one. Because I think that these are better. They come off better than the ones that Halo had in the demo. But either way, like, this is completely customizable. This was ticket type that I just did. So we're going to come in here and change ticket type to 191. And then finally, the last one we have is the tonality, which we can take as AI tone analysis. It's more obvious what that is other than saying this tonality. And then we can come in here and change this to be AI evaluation, save that, 192, and we can go update this 192 tonality. All right, so how does this actually work? Can we see this actually work? Yes, we can. I tied it to a new ticket creation, but I'm not gonna make a new ticket to show it to you necessarily. Instead, I'm just gonna go ahead and tie this to a custom action, and then we'll perform that custom action on the ticket. So first thing we'll do is we'll go to ticket types. We'll go to incident, ticket types. We'll go to fields here, field list, and let's build our AI group. We're going to do a group of fields. We'll come in here as AI analysis or evaluation fields, and we can put that for the group header. We don't really care. And we're just going to say it's not visible to the end user at all, ever. Not visible. Not visible. Visible, show it in separate tab. Agent hidden if empty is what we're going to do. And then we're going to go ahead and save this. And let's go edit that field and just throw some fields on here that we basically just created. So we've got AI tonality, AI type, ticket type. We had AI summary and AI priority. And then we can just go ahead and arrange this how we want. We can say ticket type, suggested priority, tone analysis, and summary at the end. Finally, let's go ahead and save that, and then save this. And then we should see AI evaluation with the 4 types that we just added. And then finally, we're just going to go to actions, create a new action where we do AI analysis, and that is AI analysis as the button name. We can do a robot or bot or Android or something. There we go, as the icon with a custom color of like whatever. And we'll leave it visible outside workflows in this case. And then in this case, we're going to do send a webhook / Q integration runbook. And in this case, we will do the inbound tonality analysis, and we will treat it as a quick action and save. All right, so with that being said, all we have to do is make sure the button shows up somewhere, and then we should be able to use it. So we'll go jump into our workflow, and we're just going to cheat for a moment. We're going to go ahead and actually, I don't even need to. I'm just going to put it right here in this start workflow and do allow actions with AI analysis button, and we'll leave it in this stage. Save, refresh. And so now if we refresh, notice we don't have a tab here for the AI stuff, but the moment I hit that AI analysis button, it's going to queue that runbook queued. And then when it's finished, we should see an AI evaluation tab. And it basically came back with the same information that we saw before. Testing charge rates is a summary. Tone analysis is curious. Suggested type is request. And it looks like I'm missing priority or something. Maybe I didn't put priority into the same tab. Let's see, is it under additional fields? There it is. So it looks like I made a slight mistake here. Under priority, we just want to move this to the same tab I guess that's what that was my mistake I did before. I clicked off it before instead of clicking it. And then I come back here and refresh. And then now it should all be under the same tab. And that's it. So I hope this was interesting. I hope this helped. Like I said, this was meant to showcase how you can use custom integrations with the Runbooks to update tickets in Halo based off of AI decision. You could absolutely, instead of updating a custom field, update the ticket itself. We can just force the priority of the ticket to be matched to whatever the priority AI thinks it will be. And yeah, hopefully that was interesting. One of the things that we can do with this is now during a triage operation, we can actually display those same fields in a read-only state, potentially, so that the triage people or scheduler can see the AI suggested options for the ticket. Again, hope this is helpful for you. Thanks for watching. Let me know, again, comments below if you want to see anything specific, you have any questions, and of course, always feel free to reach out if you need any help. Thanks for watching.